Under the sweltering October sun of Louisiana, the air hung heavy and damp, like the breath of a dying beast. The old house on Iberville Road stood alone amid a field of wild grass, isolated from the town's noisy asphalt veins. From a distance, it looked like a corpse in architectural form, shattered windows like blind, hollow eyes, moss-covered roof tiles peeling away, and rotting wooden boards that creaked whenever the wind blew, as if the house itself was groaning in pain. But it wasn't the decay that kept locals away. It wasn't the stories of shadows flitting past windows, or the distant sobs that drifted down from the second floor. It was what waited in the upstairs room, a silver mirror rumored not to reflect the present, but to reveal deaths that refused to be forgotten. Mark Whitaker, a freelance photographer from Oregon, wasn't the type to believe in ghosts. At 32, he lived for light, texture, and the silent stories left behind in places time had abandoned. His photo project, The Forgotten Homes, had taken him across dozens of derelict buildings in America, from crumbling farms in Kansas to haunted mansions in Savannah. So when he overheard hushed whispers in a local cafe about the Iberville house and the mirror no one dares to look at, Mark wasn't afraid, he was intrigued. A story like that, superstition or not, would make for perfect material through his lens. "It's just an old mirror," he told himself, checking his Nikon and gear-packed backpack. "Might even be a valuable antique." On the late afternoon of October 23rd, as the sun sank below the horizon, bleeding the sky into hues of burning orange and bruised violet, Mark drove down the dirt road toward the property. Tall grass brushed his knees with dry, scratchy sounds. No birds, no breeze. Just a crushing silence, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The front door was ajar, its rusted hinges screaming as he pushed it open. A wave of unnatural cold rolled out to greet him, carrying the stench of rot and something sickly sweet, almost like dying flowers. Mark flicked on his flashlight, its beams sweeping across the dim hallway. Peeling wallpaper exposed moldy wood beneath, and a dusty wall clock stood frozen in time, its hands stopped, a mute witness to everything. He stepped cautiously. The floor groaned under each movement. His camera flashed rhythmically, capturing fragments of decay, a torn armchair, a faded portrait with its face scratched out, and faint handprints on a door frame, small like those of a child. The ground floor held nothing unusual, just another ruined home. But as he stepped onto the staircase leading up to the second floor, a strange pressure clamped around his chest. Each stair moaned like a dying breath. The air grew thicker, stickier, as though he were pushing through an unseen membrane. Upstairs, a narrow hallway ended in 3 battered wooden doors. The first 2 rooms were caked in dust and draped in cobwebs. Debris everywhere. But the final room was pristine. No dust. No webs. The floor gleamed as if someone had just polished it. And in the center of the room, stark against the emptiness, stood a tall silver mirror, nearly 7 feet high, with an ornate antique frame, covered by a thin black cloth. Light from the shattered window shimmered through the fabric, making it look almost alive. Mark's heart pounded, not from fear but from overwhelming curiosity. This was it, the mirror of whispers. He set down his camera, inhaled deeply, and reached out to pull the cloth. The fabric slid off his fingers like ice. The mirror gleamed, flawless, unmarked, too perfect, but it didn't reflect Mark, didn't reflect the room. Instead, staring back from within the glass, was a woman in an early 1900s dress, her long black hair draped over pale waxen shoulders. Her face was blank and lifeless. Her eyes, if you could call them that, were hollow voids. No pupils, just 2 endless pits of black. She stared directly at him. Her mouth slowly curled into a smile. Cracks formed at the corners of her lips, revealing teeth like tiny, gleaming needles. Mark whipped around. Nothing. No one. Just the empty room and the mirror. He turned back. She was closer now, as if she had taken 1 step toward the surface. Then, from somewhere deep within the house, a whisper floated up. Soft, disjointed, childlike. "Don't look too long." After his first encounter with the woman in the mirror, Mark Whitaker was no longer the same. He left the Iberville house under a blood-red sunset, his heart pounding erratically, but he couldn't shake the image of those hollow eyes and razor-sharp smile. His camera had captured nothing, just pitch-black frames as if light itself had been swallowed. He told himself it was just a hallucination, a trick of the mind strained by the atmosphere of the old house. But night after night, Mark's sleep was invaded by whispers, soft, fragmented, like children murmuring in a dark hallway. Look again. They want to be seen. By the third day, Mark returned to the house, not out of curiosity, but because something inside him had broken, as if the mirror itself was calling him. The upstairs room was just as before, untouched, dustless, the silver mirror standing silent in the center, its surface gleaming like a frozen lake. This time there was no cloth covering it. The black veil was gone, as if someone, or something, wanted him to look, to really see. Mark stepped in front of it, breath shallow and uneven. But the woman wasn't there. This time it showed a man, wearing a torn dress shirt, a rope cinched tight around his neck, his body hanging mid-air. His face was swollen and purple, tongue lolling, eyes bulging as if ready to burst. The rope creaked loudly every time the body swayed. Mark heard the sickening snap of vertebrae breaking, so vivid that he stumbled backward and fell. But when he looked around, the room was empty. Just him and the mirror. In the days that followed, the mirror became a book of the dead. Every glance into it was a new, blood-soaked chapter. One night, Mark saw a child, no older than 6, trapped inside a wooden cabinet. Tiny hands clawed at the door, nails snapping off, blood seeping through the cracks. The child's screams echoed inside his skull, not from the mirror but from the room itself, as if it were happening right beside him. Another time he watched an old woman, hair tangled and silver, bound inside a bathtub. Flames licked around her, her skin bubbling, sizzling, eyes rolling back as her mouth moved silently, cursing him. Mark could smell the smoke, feel the damp rot of the wood, hear the heartbeat pounding in his ears, not sure if it was his or someone else's, and worst of all, was his own reflection. Each time he looked, his image became fainter, as if he were slowly being erased, while the victims inside the mirror grew sharper, closer, reaching for him through the glass. He began to fear light. Any reflective surface, windows, spoons, even puddles, made him flinch. He tried to destroy the mirror, smashed it with a sledgehammer until his hands bled. Glass flew everywhere. But by morning, the mirror was whole again, untouched, standing tall like it was laughing at him. He tried dragging it out of the house, but the second-floor door was sealed from the outside. No lock, no latch, yet completely immovable. Mark screamed, pounded on the walls. Only a soft giggle, a child's voice, answered from the hallway. His friends noticed. Mark was changing. His eyes sunk deep, his skin turned a sickly gray, his hair fell out in patches. He spoke to no one but himself, muttering about trapped souls and stories that must be told. In the last vlog he posted on YouTube, shot with a shaky webcam, Mark sat in darkness, only the bluish light from his screen illuminating his gaunt face. Behind him, the mirror appeared. Even though he was filming from his apartment, miles away from Iberville, Mark stared into the camera, voice cracked and hoarse. It's not a mirror. It's a doorway. They want out. If I disappear, break it. Don't let it see you. The video cut out just as his eyes widened, like he'd seen something in the room with him. A faint screech followed, not his voice. Mark was never seen again after that night. His phone went dead. His apartment was found empty, save for one note, scrawled in uneven handwriting. Don't look into their eyes. But in Iberville, in that upstairs room, the mirror still stands, silent, polished, waiting. And if you're brave enough to look into it, you'll hear the whisper too. It's your turn? Mark Whitaker vanished on the 7th day after his final vlog, as if swallowed by the shadows of the Iberville house. His apartment in New Orleans was empty. No suitcase, no camera. Only a crumpled note left on the table. Don't look into their eyes. Police searched the old house on Iberville Street but found nothing. Just the stench of rot and faint handprints on the second-floor doorframe. Small handprints, child-sized. The silver mirror still stood there, polished, untouched. unscarred. But none of the investigators dared look directly into it. One young officer, new to the force, claimed he heard a whisper while near the mirror. "Stay." He resigned the following week. But the mirror did not go silent. Drawn by obsession and curiosity, people, mostly internet users haunted by Mark's final video, began to visit Iberville. They took photos, shot videos, but none dared step inside the second-floor room. Some swore that in pictures taken from a distance, they saw a figure behind the upstairs window. A tall, gaunt man with hollow eyes, a mirror image of Mark. In the mirror, his reflection had become clearer than ever. He stood beside the woman in the white 1900s dress, her long hair covering half her face, her hand gripping his wrist tightly, as if she would never let go. Mark's eyes were no longer human, just two dark voids reflecting something not of this world. Those who stared too long at the image reported a deep, soul-chilling cold, like something was pulling their spirit from their body. 3 months later, a new owner arrived at Iberville. Ethan Caldwell, a real estate developer and a TikTok personality known for his haunted house hunts. He didn't believe in ghosts. He laughed off the warnings in his comment sections, calling them creepypasta nonsense. On March 12th, Ethan went live from the house. He streamed from his phone, showcasing the antique architecture of the ground floor, joking about the infamous haunted mirror. But once he climbed to the second floor, the mood shifted. The audio distorted, a garbled sound like a detuned radio. Ethan pushed open the last door in the hallway. There it was. The mirror. Still shining. Still too clean for a room so old. He laughed, turning the camera toward it. "See? Just a mirror." But the viewers weren't laughing. The comments exploded. "Who's that behind you? There's someone in the mirror. That's Mark. Get out of there." Ethan frowned, turned to look. No one there. He brought the phone closer to the mirror. This time he froze. In the mirror behind him was the silhouette of Mark. But it wasn't really Mark. It was something wearing his face. Skin pale as chalk. Cracked lips. And those eyes. They reflected nothing, only devoured what they saw. The woman in the white dress stood beside him, her head tilted at an unnatural angle. Her mouth moved as if telling a story no one should ever hear. Ethan stepped back, his voice trembling. "What the hell is that?" The camera shook. Then a sharp, bone-like crack echoed through the stream. The mirror split. A single, thin fracture slicing from top to bottom, slowly, as if scratched open by a fingernail. From the crack, a wisp of black vapor leaked out, curling like smoke. And this time the childlike whisper was clear. "You saw us now." The livestream cut to black. No goodbye. No ending. Ethan never posted again. They found his phone shattered on the overgrown lawn outside the house. But no trace of Ethan himself. The Iberville house was sealed off. Condemned. But those who passed by at night spoke of the sounds. Glass shattering. Weeping. Sometimes even laughter. But never human. The mirror is still there. In that second-floor room. Dustless. Untouched. Though now the crack has widened. Like a door slightly ajar. It waits. Collecting untold stories. Trapping restless souls. And if you're brave enough to stand before it, you won't just see the past of the house. You'll see your own future. A fate no one dares to meet. And somewhere in the darkness, that sweet childlike voice still calls. Take a look. Just once.